Good evening, everyone. It's Saturday, the 30th, end of the November. Year's coming up to an end, and I decided to do a review on meme stocks. A little different than what most people do it. As my disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only and educational. Don't take my investment advice since I am not qualified to give you advice. But this is entertaining. We're going to look at SoFi for the year. This company hasn't been around long enough to justify a yearly chart, but it's not in a bad spot. It's the highest it's ever been. And on the quarterly, if you got in at 18 and went down to 4 and stayed in, you're almost even. All right, so this actually looks a little better on the shorter time frames. And let's get that other chart up. And this is interesting. So we can see on the monthly, I put my little 8 SMA on there, and you can see it's basically going sideways until July. And since July, it has been above the 4 simple moving average. And that is telling you it's going up. You can see these guys here below, and look at since September, straight up every week price closes above the previous week. I don't use the bars because they get a little confusing, and we can show you what it looks like with candles. But the only thing that really matters is what does the price close at. And if we have the candles superimposed, you can see the candles do dip below. They always stay above the 8, but the closing price is always above the 2. So for people that get a little nervous with volatility, turn the candles off and just look at the closing price relative to the moving average of 2 and 4. And that tells you when it's strong. You can see here when we get above and below, boom, boom, it's a little crazy. I can give you a shorter time frame to look at. And here's the 4-hour and daily. And you can see on the 4-hour here, once we're above the 8, you don't even need to get out of your trade because it's still going. At this point, it gets below the 8, but it's still going sideways, and then it gets back above and takes off. So these indicators can tell you if people are buying or selling. This is definitely a sell-off here, and this is definitely buying. It's going up. This is going down. And on the daily chart for quite a while, let's go back. Ever since September, right here, SoFi has stayed above the 8. You close one period below the 8 and it takes back off. These are good entry points when you have pullbacks. You don't want to buy when you're up here. Don't buy when you're above the 8, above the 4, above the 2. You buy in here when you're close to the 8 on the daily. Safer entry point. All right. Let's look at GameStop. My son plays that game, and look at it on the daily. That's a good, ever since 1025, the closing price has stayed above the 8. The only thing most people see is volatility, and they're probably doing options. Oh, it went too far, it's going to come back down. There's no guarantee it's going to come back down once you're above this 8 simple moving average. And a lot of people lose money on options because they play with emotions. Look at the facts. If we look at the daily chart in this area, options play out better. This is a cyclical movement. There's the middle. You can play options there. But once you get above the 8 and you start trying to put puts in and say it won't move too far, that's when you get chewed up and you have to start giving money back. So let's look at the longer time frames. Here is the weekly and monthly. So we had several months going sideways. We had this takeoff from $10, and it's just been sitting here. It gets close to the 8, and now last month it's moving. Why is it? Someone getting squeezed? Do they know something? I don't know. I don't speculate about that. And even on the yearly chart, it actually doesn't look too bad. We had a year up, year sideways, and now we're year up. So if you held on long enough, you're probably in a lot better shape than you were 4 or 5 years ago. Mr. MSTR, MicroStrategy. All right, yearly chart. $387 in when is that? October of 2022, $13. Is that an investment or was it a gamble? I don't know. Let's spread this out a little bit. And ever since that low, the price has been above the 4 SMA on the quarter the entire time. All right, we're going to look at weekly and monthly. So from 2023, it's been on a roll, been above the 8 simple moving average. Looks like a normal stock. It doesn't look like a meme stock. It just really took off here since September, so they must know something. You can see where it plateaus in this period here, All right, let's go NVDA. Weekly 2023, let's look at the whole thing from October. That was the low, $13, currently at $138. Look at the monthly. This is interesting. So we're above the 2 simple moving average all the way. Oh, shoot. Didn't want to do that. All right. Here, took a little breather in August 2023, dipped. Notice the monthly price never got below the 8 simple moving average and stayed above the 4. Even with all the volatility that we have seen this past year, look at the closing monthly price. Boom, boom. What is this telling you? Let's look at daily charts. All right. That's what everybody looks at. They look at daily charts and it scares the heck out of them. That's a lot of volatility. We have all these moves here. It drops to 98, goes up to 131. You have all these moves. You're much better served if you're in this long term to look at the longer term charts. And when I'm in something like this, I use the monthly as a guide. Use your weekly just to keep an eye on things too. So if you see one period close below the 8, the next period close above, that's called price discovery. That's not panic, well, could be panic selling, but it's price discovery. When you come here and everything looks good, so this is June, and you can see that all this price discovery, and it was pretty range the end of the month. So the first of the month, you always need to pay attention a little bit. All right, what do we got here? Tesla on a roll. Monthly, it's been a little crazy. This is from 21. It's basically been going sideways. Can't really even tell what's going on there. It's so mismatched. So let's go to look at the quarterly, because the quarterly starts making a little sense. The quarterly, and we're looking at the yearly. So when we look at the yearly, we had this huge run. Look how far it's from the 8 simple moving average right here. That's huge. Just too much of a run. So it came corrected, and then we have 2 years up. Last year we ended above the 4 simple moving average. That's the 4-year average, and now we're above the 2 and we're above the 4. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters up. This is what you look at. Don't look at daily charts. They'll mess you up. We got Marathon. That's not doing much. All right, PLTR. That's been a roller coaster. All right, so we can see on the quarterly, this has been a nice steady move. At this point, if you had gotten in at the IPO, this would have been a good time to reconcile. July of 21. Hey, was this good or bad investment? Look at the turnaround. October 23, we shot above the 2 SMA, we got above the 4, we got above the 8, and look at every quarter ends above the 2. Pretty stretched right now. And let's look at shorter time frames. And this stock seems volatile, but when you look at the chart this way, it's not really. Even if you just stuck an 8 SMA simple moving average on your chart, you would have been fine. I'm curious what this looks like with candles. Let's make candles on it. That's why people get scared. That's all over the place. So, but you only worry about when it opens, when it closes. Doesn't look so bad. This area in here would have been a good entry point right there. When you make an entry close to the 8 simple moving average on a monthly chart, either it's going to go and you make a money, or it's going to go down and you get out, because this is a guardrail. And once it gets above, let's figure out where that is. I gotta synchronize my 24th February. Look what happened here. Boom, got in here. You can roll it all the way up. This was 1671, $67. ACHR. This was definitely a roller coaster. Also, this one I can't even, there's no way to analyze this at all, the monthly chart. This is not an investment. I guess you can play around with it, but there's no direction on everything. I'm just gonna leave it at that. You want multiple simple moving averages moving the same direction. In RKLB, Rocket Labs. Let's say Rocket Man. All right, weekly. Let's see what this used to do. Used to be somebody. All right, so this must have became something at some point. Look at right here. A better pointer. Look at right here. You can see the 8. You see the stock price ending every week. Boom, this is the entry point right here. Gets below the 8, gets above, and stays. Look at a daily chart. So if you zoom in on the daily, it looks a little crazy. That's why you don't use these charts for investing. You cannot, well, at this point you can kind of see. You want to use longer term charts. This is a fairly new company. You don't have a long track record on the yearly, so you're not sure where it's going here. 1, 2, 3, 4 years since they came into play. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Please send me suggestions. I hope to see you back.